So Doug, you've been involved in Radar AD since its inception. Can you tell us a little bit about the formation of the project? What are the unmet needs that you saw with patients, and how is this team formed to address those?
Yeah, so I think many of us in the field, both in the clinic and the research and also industry, have realized that the technological developments during the last years have really made great steps forward, but we haven't really implemented this in clinical work, particularly not in people with dementia for many reasons. So I think we realized that there was a need to do something there, and I think also the European Commission agreed on that. That's why they kind of put in funds for this, and we formed this team by bringing together academics with different background and expertise, clinical experts, biomarker experts, and data scientists. And we teamed up with industry who were interested in this and wanted to kind of contribute to the field and bringing it forward. And I think in the end we really were successful at that. We had a fantastic team of academic and industrial partners who really worked really well together.
Yeah, so when I think about the needs for digital technologies in the pharmaceutical industry, I think of two things. I think of the need to be able to diagnose a patient, to measure not just disease, but disease stage, so that we're enrolling the right patients in our trials. And I also think about the importance of objective, quantitative, sensitive measurements to track how a patient's doing over time, both in terms of cognition and in function. Do you see this reflected in the clinic as well, in terms of the needs in the real world?
Yes, absolutely so. So we're kind of having the same challenges. We want to diagnose, we want to make an assessment of how is a patient functioning in various areas, and how are these progressing over time, and we start some therapies, are they working or are they not working, etc. So that is definitely a need, but I think for Radar ID, one of the things we really wanted to address was the daily functioning. So we have good measurements for cognition, and we also had, from the Parkinson's field, we have really good digital measurements of motor. We can sleep and etc. But for daily functioning, that was really an unmet need. There's a totally white blanket. We have no devices for that. So that was our aim, to really find digital technologies that could accurately monitor functioning. And that was a challenge, but I think we were able to succeed in the end.
And the Radar AD Consortium is really a coming together of people from the pharmaceutical industry, from academic research, from biotech companies, who were all working on advancing in the same area, but from different angles. How did you form this team? How did you find one another? What was the process like of bringing this consortium to life?
Yeah, I think we all have our networks, and bringing them into the group, and then talking to people, and also we have the FPR network. You know much more about that, Gail, but where the industries have teamed together, and there's a lot of advertising. Hey, here we are the team. We want to do this. Do you want to join? Do you have something to offer and contribute? But I mean, and from the industry side, I think you know how that works. How industry interestingly can work together, right, in this so-called pre-competitive area.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because, while we in industry are all trying to advance new therapeutics for patients, we don't compete on the disease or how we define a disease, how we measure a disease. So this is a really great place to bring the power of the entire community together.
Absolutely, yeah, it was brilliant to see that, and in addition also the collaboration between academic and clinical expertise and industry working together. I think was really good to see. For me, this was the first IMI project, and I really enjoyed that, working together in a really constructive and positive atmosphere.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit about the trials that were run and the data that was captured throughout the program?
Yes, obviously that's a key thing, and we decided to set up with 3 different tiers. So the main tier 1 is a clinical observational study where we brought in more than 200 participants, healthy people or people with Alzheimer's disease at all stages. And the interesting aspect, or one of the interesting aspects, is that we also had Alzheimer's patients who were in preclinical state. They didn't have any symptoms, but we know that they have, let's say, the disease changes in their brain based on biomarkers. So the aim was then to have the devices on these patients and then follow them for 8 weeks, and to really get a really detailed, thorough cross-sectional snapshot measurement of the relevant technologies. And obviously a key thing was to identify and select the right devices and what to measure. That was really the first stages of the project. What do we want to measure, and what are the devices that can measure this, and how shall we select the best devices from the large number of available devices out there. So that was an interesting challenge for us.
Yeah, I think what I love about this program and what makes it really unique is the number of different technologies that were deployed in a single cohort. So we had everything from passive sensors, on-body sensors, active tasks for patients to do. And then we had smart home technologies, both in patients' own homes and in a special smart home designed for patients. And that really helps understand this functional component that you're talking about. What are patients doing in their normal lives, and how is the disease affecting how they interact in the world in ways that they actually care about? Can you speak a little bit to how all of this was brought together in the end?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. That a unique feature is this combination of technologies on the same person at the same time. So that is unique. I don't think there are any projects really out there that have done similar thing. And as you say, we also have we're covering everything from the simplest device like just a Fitbit to a smart home, a very complicated setup, a home filled with devices and sensors that could measure or detect any movements and activities that was going on. So obviously there's also an element of, let's say, cost efficiency. How can we get maximum of relevant data with the lowest cost, and how much do we need in order to get the accurate measurements? I think that's also part of it. What is the best device, or what is the best combination of devices to measure what we want to measure?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important learning as well, because when we think about designing interventional trials, we can only measure so many things. You can't overburden patients in a study, and knowing which combinations together will give us the most accurate picture that's meaningful to a patient and sensitive to change over time is critical. And the same, I assume, is true in the real world as well, where you just really want those most valuable measures.
Yes, absolutely. And we were, in fact, quite surprised by the level of engagement of the patients. So I really admire them. I'm really grateful for the patients and their partners for the way they really work together with us and were able to do quite a lot of both the active and the passive technologies, and really wanted to contribute that. And obviously, on the other hand, we have the regulatory challenge. We have the ethics, who will also have a say on this. So obviously there are external restrictions of what we can do.
Looking at the results that we have so far, I'm really excited about the outcome of this project, because it really feels like we're at the tip of the iceberg. We have this incredibly rich data asset that's been generated from the patients who've all contributed their time. But the number of potential questions that we can ask is huge. And I think working on the sustainability of this project, we can really make sure that we derive value long into the future, not just at the close of this project.
Yes, absolutely, I fully agree. And we are now in this very exciting phase. We have the data now, we have started the analysis, the first really exciting data are coming out. But as you say, we have so much data that we will not be able to do all the analysis of address all the questions that we have, obviously, in the short time span of the project. We will continue at least 18 months from now, but hopefully this data will be a resource for other researchers for many years ahead, and I think that can contribute with important findings in the future also.
So Doug, at the close of this project, what do you see as the impact? So how is this work and the work that will follow going to change lives of patients?
Obviously that is a key thing. That's why we are doing this. We hope that we can produce results that can help people. So obviously more studies are needed, but I think already at this point we have shown that digital remote technologies can be used by people with Alzheimer's disease. So that's already a key finding, because some people have also discussed and challenged that view. So we know that this is possible, and also that these technologies can provide really sensitive and relevant data. So from a clinical point of view, I'm very optimistic that these technologies can really be helpful in our everyday activities. Maybe not tomorrow, but in near future. So then the question is for you, Gail, how might this be relevant for companies trying to find new Alzheimer's drugs?
Sure, and it comes back to the fact that having better measurements, both in terms of being able to enroll the right patients at the right time and measure progression and changes as sensitively as possible. One, yes, it makes clinical trials more efficient. That sounds great for a pharmaceutical company, but really the bigger picture, if you step back and look at the whole world, the more efficiently we can run Alzheimer's trials, the more hypotheses we can test in the world. And the more hypotheses we can test, the better we'll be able to treat patients in the end.